For years, the story of the greater Greenville housing market has felt, well, pretty simple, right? It's just been up, up, and more up. But lately, the data is telling a very different and honestly a much more complicated story. So is the market finally, actually starting to cool down? Let's get into the numbers and find out.
We all see the headlines. We hear the chatter around town. Prices go up, prices go down. It seems pretty straightforward on the surface. But just like with any good story, the really interesting stuff, the details that change everything, are usually hidden just underneath.
And yeah, on the surface, things look like it's just more of the same. A 2.9% increase. That's how much the median sales price for a house in Greater Greenville went up over the last year. So on paper, it really looks like prices are still climbing. And look, that 2.9% figure, that's what makes for a good headline. It suggests it's just business as usual. But if you only look at that one number, you are missing a much, much bigger and way more dramatic shift that is completely reshaping the market for both buyers and sellers, like right now.
Okay, so let's start with that headline number. It's the one that gets all the attention, but it's also probably the most misleading number when you look at it all by itself.
So the median price did go up. It went from about $321,000 last year to $330,000 this past June, which is technically an all-time high. But a 2.9% increase, that is a far cry from the huge double-digit jumps we were seeing just a couple of years ago. The climb is definitely getting a lot less steep, which, brings us to the big question here. If prices are still going up, why is everybody, myself included, talking about a cool down? Well, the answer isn't in the price tag. It's all about supply. And this, right here, is the plot twist in our story. Because while prices were kind of slowly inching their way up, this other number was absolutely exploding in the background. And this is the stat that changes the entire story. 43%. Just let that number hang in the air for a second. That is the key to understanding this whole market shift. It represents a massive, massive change in a really short amount of time. So what that 43% means is this. The number of homes actively for sale jumped from around 4,300 last June to over 6,200 this year. That is a flood of new listings. It means that for the first time in a very long time, buyers suddenly have a lot more to choose from. Now, to really get what that flood of new listings means for the market, you got to look at this key metric called month supply of inventory. Think of it like this. If, starting right now, not a single new house went up for sale, how long would it take for buyers to just buy up everything that's currently on the market? Just look at the shift. Last year, we had a 3.3-month supply of homes. Pretty tight. This year, it's jumped to 4.6 months. Now, for some context, what experts call a balanced market, not a buyer's market, not a seller's market, is usually around 6 months of supply. So we're not there yet, but the trend is undeniable. Supply is growing way faster than demand. So what happens when you have so many more homes for sale? Well, it creates this ripple effect across every single part of the market. And that's where we start to see the most concrete evidence that things are really slowing down. Okay, this is a really crucial distinction to understand. Closed sales tell us what already happened. They're a snapshot of the past, deals that were probably made a month or two ago. But pending sales, the contracts that people are signing right now, that's our crystal ball. That's the best forecast we have for where the market is heading next. And wow, the crystal ball is showing a really dramatic change. Pending sales, our best indicator of what's coming, have absolutely plummeted by over 42% compared to last June. Honestly, this is the single loudest alarm bell for a market cooldown. It means way, way fewer deals are being made today than this time last year. And those ripples, they're showing up everywhere. Homes are sitting on the market for longer. Buyers are actually managing to negotiate a little bit more off the asking price. That whole frenzy of bidding wars over every single new listing, yeah, that's clearly fading into the background. Okay, so let's translate all these numbers and charts into what it all really means. Because at the end of the day, these data points completely change the reality for anyone trying to buy or sell a home right now. One of the biggest hurdles that's still out there is affordability.
And we measure this with something called the Housing Affordability Index. It basically just asks a simple question. Can a family with a typical income actually afford a typical priced house? A score of 100 means, yep, they can just barely swing it. But here's the paradox. Even with the market starting to cool off, it's actually gotten a little bit less affordable over the past year. The index dropped from 94 down to 92. This just shows that even with more choices out there for buyers, that combination of high prices and interest rates is still really squeezing people's budgets.
So what's the bottom line here? The market is rebalancing. The power is shifting. For buyers, it means you've got more choice, you've got more time to think, and you've definitely got more power to negotiate. And for sellers, the game has totally changed. With all this new competition, pricing your home correctly right from day one is absolutely critical.
So when you add this all up, what have we got? Are we looking at a nice, gentle cool down, or are we heading for more of a steep drop? Let's put the most important and honestly conflicting signals side by side. This scorecard pretty much tells the entire story in just 3 lines. On one hand, you've got prices still inching up, but that small increase is being completely overshadowed by 2 monster numbers: a 43% surge in houses for sale and a 42% drop in future sales. This is the very definition of a market at a tipping point, which leaves all of us with the ultimate question. After years and years of a frantic, crazy seller's market, is this the correction that buyers have been hoping for? All the data seems to point to a major shift, but only time's going to tell just how deep this cool down will actually go.